Tobago updates. Good morning, Tobago.
Good morning, and welcome back to Good Morning Tobago right here on Tobago Updates. Now, something is brewing and something is heating up. I don't know if you know, but there's elections happening for the National Executive Committee of the National Union of Government and Federal Workers. And this will be held on Monday, the 28th of October. This morning, I'm sitting in studio and I'm chatting with Mr. Anthony Callender, who is one of the prospective candidates for the Tobago division of the Executive Committee, and he is joined by Mr. Sheldon Cooper, who is a committee member. Good morning, guys, and welcome.
Hey, good morning. Good morning. Good morning.
Right, so it's excellent to have you. So tell the people a bit about NUGFW, because a number of persons are not really aware of the union.
Right, so comrades, good morning. So, as introduced, I am Anthony Callender, the president of the Tobago Division Executive Committee. And the National Union of Government and Federated Workers is like the other unions within Trinidad and Tobago that represents the right of workers within the various employment sectors. We represent workers in the public sector and also the private sector. And on the 28th of October 2024, we will be fielding an election to select our national executive, which is primarily responsible for the general operations of the union in terms of how we conduct business on behalf of the membership, negotiations, and other aspects of their social life.
All right, and who is able to vote in this election?
Right, so based on our constitution, all financial members of the union, once you are a member of the union, you are eligible to take part in this event. Our union is sort of different to how the other unions conduct their business. Most unions use a delegate system, while we have moved to the one man, one vote concept, where every single financial member, once they are desirous, could come out on the day and participate in the process of selecting who will lead them going forward.
So are you also encouraging workers to register for the union, or is registration closed and it's just for existing members to participate?
Right. So prior to 3 months before the date of the election, persons must already have been financial members. Yeah. But save and apart from that, we are always trying to encourage workers to come on board and be a part of a movement that fights for the equality and rights and working equity for workers. Yeah. So the trade union movement has been established since 1937. And from that time to now, we know as workers, there is always a struggle in being able to get what we believe is the rights and working conditions of workers improve over the years. And within our organization, there are various structures that we utilize to ensure that that message or the voice of the workers are heard in the form of our shop stewards, our branch executives. We also have divisions executive, and now we are feeling to treat with the national executive within that conversation.
Right, and you are specifically vying for that position of the Tobago president.
Nice. Right, so within our constitution, prior to 2008, even with the establishment of the union, most of the positions, as a matter of fact, all of the positions in Trinidad, the 15 positions that are up for grabs, were held by our comrades in Trinidad. However, in 2008, when Comrade James Lambert took office as President General, there was an amendment to the Constitution to say that Tobago must have a seat on the National Executive. And in this installment, I'm vying for the position of Second Deputy General Secretary to hold that position within the National Executive.
Excellent. And Mr. Cooper, can you tell us the type of employees that are targeted in this union?
Well, good morning. I want to share the live. This is Sheldon Cooper. I also a shop steward in my branch. Presently, I'm employed at Public Health. I'm a shop steward at the garage. Normally, basically, all voters eligible to vote, whether you're in Rockville, Shallanville, each sector. It's just like the national election, same to us, entitled to come out and cast a vote.
All right. And can you tell us exactly where the election is going to be held on Monday, the 28th?
Right. We have various, it ain't confirm as yet, but we have various sites. I think one of the sites is at Public Health, Kompong at Signal Hill, Wassa. Normally they have a mobile unit, 2 mobile units for people up in the east, also down in the west. So it can confirm, but by this weekend, the election officer is supposed to give us confirmation on all the polling stations. Because just like the national election, different sections of the polling station. I think a polling station is supposed to be at Market. The market. Scarborough Market.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And overall, this is targeted to those daily paid workers.
Daily rated workers. All daily rated workers.
Within the Tobago House of Assembly.
As long as you are financial.
And you can vote at any polling station.
And how aware are daily paid workers of their rights as we speak?
Right. And you raise a valid point. Being elected as president last year, I am now 1 year and about 4 to 5 months in my term, because our constitution says that every 3 years, the workers within the division, in this case we are talking the Tobago division, selects their leader, and then on another instance, every 4 years, you select your national executive committee. And with me attaining office last year, May, it was very surprising to see the lack of awareness within the Tobago space, and not just a lack of awareness, but a great sense of discontent and displeasure with the union representation over the years. And this stems from this very set process that we are asking members to come out and participating. Because when you have someone sitting on the national executive that is supposed to be looking after Tobago's interests, that person, along with the division executive, has the responsibility to ensure that the union is present, it's felt, and it is adequately representing the workers within the division. So, with me being the president and this process in front of us, I've made it my duty to move around to all the THA divisions to ensure that our workers are aware that they have the ability to come out and participate, especially on the crux of the outstanding negotiation that we have currently taking place with the CPO's office through central government, where they're giving us that 4% wage increase, which we view is very inadequate for our membership.
Right. And looking at the performance of the NUGFW in the past, do you think that they have adequately represented workers' rights?
Right. So the answer to that for me would be no. Right? So in 2008, when we had our last election, and even in this election coming up, you will see some persons presenting themselves who served on the previous executive for the past 16 years. On my installation as president, when I moved on, one of my responsibilities is to ensure that branch executives and shop shorts in the various work centers are installed. And it was very surprising to know that when I visited some of these areas, persons were saying to me that they have not seen the union for the past 10 years, despite the fact that we had persons serving on the national executive, resident in Tobago, in our office at number 15 Providence Road, in the form of Lydia Peters and these people, and they have been totally absent from the members. And for those members that they might engage with, members are very dissatisfied with the level of representation that they would have received under these persons. And it drove us to a point where our membership had dwindled. And it is because of some institutional administrative change that was taken at the time by our President General in terms of installing a new manager within the Tobago space in Ms. Hyacinth Leander. And with working it out, me as the president, she as the manager, we have been able to get the membership back up on a rise. So we are encouraging these workers to come out and let us continue the good work as we try to clean up and bring awareness to what is taking place and why workers should participate and be a part of the organization.
Right, but did the previous executive have the type of resources that they needed to get the job done?
I would tend to think so, because how our constitution is built, the resources that trade union use, save and apart from those fixed resources in terms of what finances will provide, the greatest resource of our trade union is membership, because our responsibility is the representation of those members. But when you are not representing workers adequately, then you will find that resource that gives you that bargaining power. Our bargaining power as a trade union is the members and the amount of members we speak on behalf of. When you're going to have a conversation with the employer must clearly see that the voice you bring is the voice of the employees. And when you do not treat these employees adequately enough to have them in full support behind you, in full view of the employer, it weakens your position in terms of negotiating.
Excellent. And moving forward for this upcoming election on October the 28th, you are not the only person vying for this position, are you? You do have competition for the post. Who is your opponent?
Well, surprisingly, this post has belonged to the Tobago space for the past 16 years. And the person that is running against me is not from Tobago. It's actually somebody from Trinidad.
Right.
However, you will see that Ms. Peters, who is the prospective candidate for the Tobago space on the other team, she's vying for one of the President General's positions within the organization. And for some reason, they are seeming to hide that from the membership. And I'm trying to understand, myself and other members are trying to understand
Please
why.
explain it to me, because I'm not sure exactly what you are saying.
Okay. So within the construct of our organization, we have the President General Office, the First Deputy President General, Second Deputy President General, the General Secretary's Office, First Deputy General Secretary, Second Deputy General Secretary, First Vice President, Second Vice President, Treasurer, First Assistant Treasurer, Second Assistant Treasurer, and then we have 3 trustees in the mix, a deputy trustee and 4 other trustees behind that person. And those 15 positions is what forms the national executive of the organization. The national executive, as I indicated, is responsible for the general administration. But the national executive is also answerable to the General Council and the National Congress. And our General Council will encompass the branch executives within the various divisions, general branches, and sections. So it is very important that that structure exists so that we can hold to account the people that we elect in the National Executive Office. And we hear the narrative being spilled about that Comrade Lambert, who has held the helm of the organization for the past 16 years, would have been operating the organization from an independent standpoint. In my view, that does not make any sense, because we have the structure built into our organization that gives the opportunity for him to be accountable to the membership. Yeah? And Tobago must have a voice in that whole structure. Somebody must be representing the Tobago interests in that respect. Let me give an example. We have assets within the Tobago space. Primarily, we have a piece of land that was given to us by the THA. As soon as you pass Roxosec, leading to the Bloody Bay Road, there is a parcel of land, a couple acres that the THA give to us, the union, for the purpose of housing for the daily rated workers within the Tobago space. And for the past 16 years, with this person sitting at the helm of the Tobago space in terms of managing Tobago affairs and reporting and being involved on the national executive, absolutely nothing has been done with that parcel of land in terms of the Tobago membership benefiting from that housing, despite the fact that the arrangement with the THA was, as soon as we get some sort of development taking place there, other lands will be allocated on the other side of the island to allow for members that live in this end, on the western side, to be able to benefit from that housing benefit. These are the sort of administrative things or administrative processes that the national executive engage in. When I became
president, so in your capacity as second general secretary,
yes,
if you do win the election, would you then be seeking funding on behalf of the Tobago division to have that land developed, to have that housing facility available for the liberated workers?
But of course, because the first thing that we have to do is we already have the title, we have the deeds and everything, because as president, when I did the investigation, because that was one of the primary concerns raised by our members while we engaged them in selecting the president for the Tobago division. So one of the first things we have to do is we'll have to engage developers and have some proposals presented to us in terms of what will be the most suitable housing arrangement based on the demographics of a land, and then we will present that to the national executive, and then have a conversation with the workers, and then we go now to try to see how best we could allocate the funds to be able to start a project like that to benefit the members of the Tobago space.
Excellent. Now, I want to thank you so much for coming on and not just campaigning, but also enlightening the people of
Yes.
Tobago on what is actually happening on the national committee. Now, before you go, talk to the people, talk to the daily rated workers who are paid and registered members, why it's important to elect you as that second Deputy General Secretary for the National Union of Government and Federal Workers.
Right. So, members within the Tobago space, we would have engaged you in the past with a prospect of building a better future for the organization. All of you all are very well aware of what we would have faced as membership under the leadership of the persons that are now representing themselves in an attempt to hoodwink you to believe that they will come now with something different. 16 years in office, in my opinion, gave enough time for persons to be able to enact or engage in whatever they might have had in their minds or in their thoughts in terms of benefiting the membership. Since becoming president, we have really tried to up the bar in terms of our representation. Quite a bit of outstanding matters we have dealt with on behalf of workers, matters that were left lingering by Punchin, who we all know, Kenneth Thomas, Mr. Punchin and Ms. Lydia Peters, left quite a bit of matters lingering, and we would have sort of treat with those issues. We will build the organization in terms of ensuring currently we have a general council functioning in Tobago, encompassing shop stewards and chairmen and all these people of over 85 members within the Tobago space alone. Education and awareness. A lot of our members were not aware as to why we took a position against the 4%. That 4% that virtually gives a daily rated worker $9.49 a day, $90 extra at the end of the fortnight. So you could imagine a daily rated worker who already has all the commitments that he has in terms of his financial commitments with his banks and credit unions and these things, and goes home with a wage of physically in their hand of $300, and you want the union, the government that is, want the union to sign off on giving our workers an extra $90. That is what 4% means. So we have to take a clear stance against that, and we would have been out there in an awareness and education process to ensure that our members know what we are doing on their behalf. It is the first time within the Tobago space that members would have seen the proposals as on the desk of the CPO and currently in the industrial court presented to them, and the contents in terms of engaging them to ensure that the union is properly capturing their interests in terms of the negotiations. Yeah? So, comrades, we encourage you to come out and allow myself, allow the other 15 candidates that are fielded on the slate, Team Faithful. Our symbol is the scale. You can see it here on my chest, right? Our symbol is the scale, and we're encouraging you to come out and participate. I want to treat it one other issue before we leave. This issue in which persons on the other side have taken a direct attack on Comrade Lambert and his age. Comrades, if you look at our slate, you will see that our slate is filled with quite a bit of young, vibrant persons with a prospect for the future of the organization. But while we bring the youth to the executive and the vision to the executive, institutional knowledge is of utmost importance. And what we are faced with as a team that would have pulled ourselves together with the prospect of representing you is a 4% wage increase and a pending court hearing of the 5th of December. And we are saying that we see no other person within the organization that has that ability to best represent the daily rated workers and the pressures that we have faced for the past 9 years, with the government not willing to meet with us and sit and treat, than Comrade Lambert. Because after this election, Comrade, and we must be careful, after this election, there is only one person that will be able to take that witness box on behalf of the workers and make the representation. And it is whoever is elected as the President General of this organization. Yeah? So we ask you all to please come out on the 28th of October and vote resoundingly for the scale. Give us the opportunity to serve as we have been doing for the past years, myself and the other presidents that are on our slate. Join Team Faithful and vote for the future of the organization.
Excellent. Thank you so much. And we wish you nothing but the best, Mr. Callender, in your endeavor. And also want to thank your colleague and committee member, Mr. Sheldon Cooper,
Yes.
for joining us this morning. Again, we hope that all your plans, to fulfill and to adequately represent the Tobago daily rated workers is fulfilled with your victory in office if you do become successful in that upcoming election.
Thank
So
you
all
very
the best to you and your team. Guys, we want to
very
thank
much.
you so much for joining us this morning. Thank you for your likes, your shares, and your comments. But before we go this morning, we have something special for you right after this break. So stay tuned.
The energy